In 2013, David Dobrik uploaded his first video onto Vine. He collaborated on Vines with other popular Viners such as Liza Koshy, Gabby Hanna, Jason Nash, and Zayn and Heath. Before starting his own YouTube channel, Dobrik was a part of the YouTube group Second Class. Dobrik launched his self-titled YouTube channel in 2015, and then in August of 2016, Dobrik created his second channel, David Dobrik 2, where he posts blooper reels, challenge videos, and his more direct sponsorship deals. But this is not a video on his accomplishments, it's on his shortcomings. You see, David Dobrik was wildly successful, but he started falling into hot water around 2017. This is a full timeline of events of everything that David Dobrik has ever done. Now, here's the thing. Allegations for these things didn't start coming out until 2021. However, I am going to talk about the things that we found out in 2021 when they actually happened way back on May 18th, 2017. Now, all of this came to light in an insider report that was published on November 3rd, 2021. A former fan of Dobrik comes forward with footage of Dom Zeglides, a former member of the Vlog Squad, backing her into a corner and humping her clothed as David Dobrik filmed. The now 25-year-old woman says she and her friends first went to the Vlog Squad apartment where Zeglides lived after Dobrik posted on Snapchat asking for girls 18 and over to be extras in a vlog about Zeglides needing a sex intervention. The second time she went to the apartment, on May 18th, Dobrik led her and other fans to the apartment. She and Zeglides went back and forth, which can be seen in his May 19th vlog, until he tries to tackle her. The vlog cuts before he makes contact, but in footage available on Insider, he traps her in a corner of a hallway, humping her. Dobrik can be heard repeating, "Stop, stop, stop," and pulling Zeglides off of her. A quote from the article, "When he started humping me, you can see in my face I'm trying to push him off," she said. "It went too far. I didn't want to fight with Dom. I was just trying to see David," end quote. Representatives for Dobrik did not immediately respond to the comment on Insider Report. She had stayed silent about Dobrik's hand in the assault until Seth Francois came forward about Dobrik's hand in his exploitation. At that point, she expresses that she was done covering for Dobrik. There are pictures and videos of the girl, obviously, with Dobrik and Zeglides. There's also pictures that we have of DM conversations between Zeglides and the fan. And eventually, on March 23rd, there would be an apology video posted after Insider's investigation into a rape allegation against Zeglides. Dobrik said it broke his heart that people were hurt in the making of his videos. On June 15th, 2017, Dobrik releases a since-deleted video titled, "He Thought He Was Kissing Her," in parentheses, super cringy. In this video, Dobrik tricks former Vlog Squad member Seth Francois into kissing Jason Nash, the 47-year-old comedian attached to the group. Francois was told he would be kissing Corinna Kopf, an original Vlog Squad member and Instagram model known as Pouty Girl. It was not revealed to the blindfolded Francois that he was kissing Nash until after the act had already happened. And later down the line, on David Dobrik's and Jason Nash's podcast, Views, they can be heard boasting about this prank. On June 28th, 2017, Ali Hardesty said Zeglides groped her and forcibly kissed her at VidCon that year in a video titled "Dirty Dom Exposed, My Story."
He eventually takes us to this balcony where there's a bunch of other people. And I sit down because I'm just sick of walking, my feet hurt. I sit down on the couch. It's like this couch that's like on the balcony around the edge. And he gets on top of me, like straddles me, pins me down to the couch. And I think it's like a joke for a second, like he's gonna let go or something, or he's gonna try to give me a lap dance or something stupid because there is still music playing out there. But he literally doesn't move. He has me pinned down on the couch like I'm just sitting normally, and he's facing me with his knees on my knees, like holding me down and pinning down my arms. And he gets really close to my face and is like, kiss me. And I'm like, no, I don't do PDA. There's a bunch of people out there, like get off of me. He doesn't move.
I don't have an exact date for this, but this happened sometime in November 2018. In another since deleted vlog titled She Should Not Have Played with Fire, Dobrik is hanging out with a group of friends, including former Vlog Squad member Dom Zeglides, nicknamed Dirty Dom. In this video, Dom jokes that he has invited over a group of girls to have a fivesome with them. The girls are briefly included in the video while Dom aims sexual jokes and commentary at them. December 13th, 2018, Gabriella L., a fan of David Dobrik at the time, told Insider she met Zeglides near his apartment where the Vlog Squad filmed. Also in the report published November 3rd, 2021, Gabriella said Zeglides promised Dobrik would arrive and pressured her to drink until she agreed to have sex with him. Afterwards, she says she also agreed to let him record a video of her naked on the condition that he kept it private. Minutes later, she says he told her he sent it to a group chat. Gabriella shares details of her experience on a TikTok in 2020, just months before a March 2021 Insider report accuses him of rape.
Smoke my weed and not give me blowjob.
Yeah. Sometime in September of 2020, a 5-part TikTok series about a young man named Karim offering his application to be a designer for Dobrik's new app goes viral. In the videos, Karim suggests the name Dispo, which led Dobrik to comment on his TikTok saying that he loved the name and would be in touch. Karim later reveals that Dobrik decided not to hire him. The comment, like directly quoting the comment, said, "Dude, when you said Dispo, I literally screamed, 'This is so dope, we'll be reaching out.'" No, spoiler alert, but he never reached out to Karim. On June 2nd, 2020, Seth Francois releases a YouTube video titled Accountability to All Creators that outlines all of the negativity and racist situations he experienced while a part of the Vlog Squad. The video includes clips of Dobrik and friends joking about taking Seth to the police station, doing blackface, offering him watermelon, and labeling him their only black friend. This video inspired other black creators and viewers to also come forward with their experiences and concerns. Some of it was directed to former Vlog Squad member Tana Mojo. The accusations led to her investing in a live-in therapist.
Guys, I just want to come on here and tell you I'm sorry for being so inactive in so many ways. When it comes to the YouTube video, I promise that is still coming. I just want to say there's no excuse for that, and I take full accountability for how long it has taken, and I know that. But I hired a full-time live-in therapist and life coach, and that's kind of what I've been doing off camera. I'll be telling you guys more about that and documenting it and showing it. But things are coming, and I love you.
This was around the same time that Shane Dawson and the founders of the Reacts channels were being called out for blackface that they had done earlier in their careers. Kennedy Monique, who had been a part of the Teen React channel in her youth, left the company and issued a call to action very similar to Francois's in her video, Why I Decided to Stand Up for Myself. On June 30th, 2020, Dobrik uploads his weekly podcast titled Auditioning for SNL. His podcast is titled Views, but this was the name of the episode, in which he takes the first 2 minutes of a 39-minute episode to apologize for his past behavior. Dobrik receives backlash for what many consider to be the superficiality of this apology, as he does not directly address Francois or any of the specific racist situations.
The intention with every single video is to make people laugh. And I know it sounds so cheesy, and I hate saying it, but every video I make, every Instagram I post, everything I do, I just want to cheer somebody up. I want to make them laugh. I want to make them smile. I want them to share it with a friend, and I want them to have a positive experience when they're interacting with anything I produce. And with that being said, I feel like on a handful of occasions I've just missed the mark on that.
On February 5th, 2021, former Vlog Squad member Nick Kiswani appears on an H3 podcast known for reacting to YouTube drama, specifically Vlog Squad Controversies. This particular episode is hosted by the husband and wife duo Ethan Edward Klein and Hilla Klein. Ethan Edward Klein also hosts another podcast titled Frenemies with ex-Vlog Squad member and ex-girlfriend of Jason Nash, Trisha Paytas. While on the podcast, Kiswani shares how his time in the Vlog Squad damaged his mental health. Kiswani suffered from a rare form of dwarfism that has also caused him to be blind in his left eye.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
So where'd you get the elf?
The elf. Oh,
I don't mean this fucking line anymore.
During his time in the Vlog Squad, Kiswani was continuously mocked for his height and disabilities.
Like, worthless being in those videos. Like, I was like, dude, why am I even, like, here? Like, what's the point of my existence? Because I was just treated like this punching bag, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everyone's just joking about me, like mocking me, then the fans in public are doing the same. And like, I had a good long look in the mirror and like, I was like, wow, I'm like really depressed.
Meanwhile, on the Frenemies podcast, Trisha was opening up about everything Dobrik had done to her. Dobrik cut her off after her stay in a mental hospital and forced other members of the Vlog Squad to do the same. Dobrik even went as far as not reposting live streams where people mentioned Trisha. At the time, Jason Nash was romantically involved with Trisha. They secretly corresponded for 3 months before Nash told her that he had to dump her because of Dobrik.
Long story short, me and David, I saw him every single day for like 2 years of our lives or whatever. We went to Thanksgiving at his house, all this crazy shit. That night at the hospital, I went to the mental hospital. He made Jason cut me off and I never heard from him again. He never was like, are you okay? After I got out of the hospital, nothing. Just cut me off, said no one can talk to Trisha. No one's allowed to talk about her. He talked about me in a stream one time, a live stream, and that's the only stream he never like re-uploaded. He made sure that was like disappeared off the internet because someone brought me up. So like if you talk, like no one's allowed to talk about me.
How do you know he told Jason don't Jason ever contacted you after that?
Yeah, he like blocked me. Well, no, we did talk. We talked secretly for like 3 months.
And what makes you think that it was David?
Because he told me. Because we talked secretly for 3 months. Like we hooked up and
Jason
stuff.
said,
I have to dump you. Like I don't have a choice.
On February 12th, 2021, Seth Francois makes a guest appearance on the same H3 podcast on which he spoke about the kissing incident back in 2017.
And after Jason pulls off his mask, and I realized that, I just was touched by someone that, I did not, consent to.
He goes on to say that after the first video, there was a sequel where he signed a $2,500 contract to be in a commercial where, once again, he was forced to make out with Nash, this time sporting a gorilla costume. Dobrik refused to pay Nash the money because it was just a prank, bro. Seth explained the reason he reached out to the H3 team was not because he wanted to attack Dobrik or Nash, but because he wanted to bring awareness to these types of situations, and he wanted others to keep their favorite creators accountable for the influence they have, not only on the industry, but their audiences as well. He acknowledged that he allowed these jokes in the Vlog Squad videos to happen and that his role in them was harmful. He just wants others, like Dobrik, to do the same because at the end of the day, Dobrik ran the channel and greenlit everything. He goes on to apologize to anyone that may have experienced similar treatment in their white friend groups because of the videos he took part in. Seth said that sometimes jokes are the result of bigger issues. Blackface was created in a comedy setting to make fun of black people, so he wonders why other racially charged jokes are being treated differently. Seth echoed some of Nick and Trisha's statements from their H3 interviews, noting that the second someone expressed being uncomfortable to Dobrik, it seemed like they disappeared, and because of this, Dobrik was able to stay in the limelight while others were lambasted for speaking out against the king of YouTube. Seth said that it happened to him when he tried to get Dobrik to take down the videos. Dobrik first refused and then offered Seth hush money, which Seth promptly rejected. He expressed that it was then he realized Dobrik was never his friend. February 16th, 2021, Paytas takes to her H3 podcast Frenemies to reveal more disturbing allegations against Dobrik. Ethan reveals that before Seth came on the podcast, he was actively trying to reach out to Dobrik to get an apology. If given, then he would back out of the H3 interview. Obviously, Dobrik didn't pick up his calls. Trisha claims that in one vlog, Dobrik hid while she had sex with her boyfriend Jason Nash and filmed her naked without her consent. Nash was aware of the prank. However, Paytas claims, quote, there was no consent given. Nash was aware of the prank. However, there was... Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, but it's okay. Because I participated in the vlogs, that's my consent?
I did not consent to this. I did not consent to this. Like, this did not have my permission to put this into the video. Like,
she was struggling to understand why Nash would let it go so far. Why wouldn't he just tell her to go into the bathroom where Dobrik was hiding after 15 minutes? Why let Dobrik hide for hours while they had sex? She also asked Dobrik not to post the video titled, I snuck into their hotel room, surprise, because she clearly was not clothed. The video is still live and currently has more than 14 million views. On February 26, 2021, Klein accuses Dobrik of covering up his assault of Francois by deleting problematic clips from past vlogs and podcast episodes. Klein specifically mentions a section from a podcast episode in which Dobrik and Nash are talking and laughing about the 2017 prank they played on Francois. In Dobrik's Let's Talk video, he explains that some videos don't represent him anymore, and that's why he's taken them down. Of course, most of the content was archived and is now able to be viewed using the Wayback Machine, including the podcast episode where he gleefully recounts the prank. Klein expressed his disgust over hearing Dobrik giggle while talking about his actions that he knows traumatized Seth. On March 4th, 2021, musician, current Vlog Squad member, and longtime friend of Dobrik, Scotty Sire, uploads a video in defense of Dobrik titled Hi. The video has since been taken down. However, it includes messages between Dobrik and Francois that appear to show Francois offering consent to the incident that took place back in 2017. Ethan of the H3 podcast commented on the video saying it seemed like Dobrik picked the guy with the best reputation on the Vlog Squad to release a video clearing Dobrik's name.
An idea to pull the prank on him again, so I thought it would be fun to blatantly ask him for consent. Do I have permission to try to prank you again and get you to make out with Jason?
I'm very confused by that, because how the hell could you be so confident to tell me that I have to consent to something that I'm not going to know that I'm going to do?
On March 4th, 2021, Vulture publishes a profile of Paytas in which she states, quote, I have more PTSD from David and Jason than I do hooking on Santa Monica Boulevard, end quote. She also blames Dobrik for the downfall of her relationship with Nash, saying she was deemed no longer useful for the vlogs. Quote, Jason was like, I gotta break up with you because of David, Paytas explains. That's when I spiraled, end quote. On March 8th, 2021, after removing his previous video, Sire posts a note to his Twitter in which he apologizes to, quote, anyone who feels as though I disrespected or invalidated their story. I'll leave the full apology up on screen for a little while so that you guys can read through it if you want. If not, just skip ahead a little bit. On March 16th, 2021, Business Insider publishes an article titled, A woman featured on YouTube star David Dobrik's channel says she was raped by a Vlog Squad member in 2018, the night they filmed a video about group sex. The article includes commentary from a young woman who appeared in the 2018 video titled, She Should Not Have Played with Fire, in which she claims she was raped by Dom Zeglides. The article also includes quotes from Paytas claiming that Dobrik asked Nash to purchase alcohol for the women as they were all under 21 and could not purchase it for themselves. That is a very important claim that will come back later. On March 16th, 2021, Dobrik posts a 2-minute and 30-second video titled Let's Talk to his podcast YouTube page. Not even his main YouTube page, his second one, his podcast page, which out of all the pages that he had the least amount of followers, so it very much just seemed like he wanted to post it to the lowest audience he could and then move on with it. In this video, Dobrik claims that consent is the heart of his content. He claims not to agree with some of his previous videos and apologizes directly to Seth Francois.
I would just want to make videos where everybody in it, you know, whether you're participating or watching, is enjoying and having a good time. And I missed the mark with that one.
Missing the mark is kind of watering it down, if you will. He goes on to address former Vlog Squad members, including Dom Zegladiz, and states that he has distanced himself from them as he does not align with their actions and does not stand for misconduct. He finishes the video with a promise.
Sorry if I've let you down, and things like that won't happen again. And I learned from my mistakes, and I also believe that actions speak a lot louder than words. And, you know, you can take my word for it that I'm going to change, but I'll also show you and I'll prove to you that, you know, the mistakes I made before won't be happening again.
Now, as far as YouTube apologies go, this one by far has not been the worst. I mean, since then we've had, you know, Ukulele Woman. But Dobrik fails to respond to the allegations from Paytas or Kiswani. And it shows. The apology itself isn't bad, but he fails to address some issues, already noting that this was not posted on his main channel. And he now has to prove himself to his audience once again. Which, I mean, apologizing and having to move on from that and building your audience back up, that's all things that he had to do regardless. But he put into words that he will show the audience that he has changed. And I don't, we'll get into the new changed Dobrik because not much has changed. So, speaking of Trisha Paytas, on the same day, a new installment of the Frenemies podcast came out. In the episode, she exclaimed that she didn't understand why Dobrik was still making content after all of his sponsors pulled out because of the recent controversy, and we will get to the sponsors later. A total of 13 brands pulled out of sponsorship deals, and that's a huge loss of revenue for Dobrik. And it wasn't just the H3 podcast or old Vlog Squad members who noticed something off. Commentary channels were quick to call out that Dobrik was walking a thin line between kid-friendly content and adult content.
I think in a sense, people are almost scared to criticize him because he's so successful. He's never really gotten any drama. But I think there is room to criticize when you're not using your platform in a responsible way. And when you can't decide if you're a channel for children or if you're a channel for adults.
It was obvious in his style of video that he wanted to cater to a young audience, but he continually put his friends in danger or just flat out made them uncomfortable. You know, he was confessing love to people on behalf of his friends and publicizing his friends' drunken texts. And more so, now than ever, people were bringing up how racist Dobrik's older content was. Whatever way you looked at it, people were starting to catch on that children really shouldn't be consuming his content. What kind of message was that sending to kids? That you can be as mean as you want to your friends as long as they laugh? Dobrik was crossing the line, and in his apology video, he failed to mention some of his worst offenses. He called out the ones that everyone was talking about, like Seth Francois, but not the ones that were still actively harming his victims, like Nick Kiswani or Trisha Paytas. And by actively harming, I mean that people were running up to Kiswani on the street and thinking that it was okay to make fun of his dwarfism because of the content that was on Dobrik's channel. Right then, it was obvious that Dobrik didn't care. He just wanted the controversy to go away. Well, if you are looking at how long this video is, you'll see that his story online is far from over. On March 17th, 2021, according to Dobrik's Social Blade, and if you don't know what Social Blade is, it is a website where you can basically look up the statistics of a certain YouTuber. And at this point, people were glued to looking at David Dobrik's and seeing what changes there may be after this controversy. It's most likely the place where you can find live sub counts, like the ones that were popping up when Dramageddon happened with James Charles. Yeah, that's Social Blade. According to Dobrik Social Blade, he lost 100,000 subscribers since the publishing of the Business Insider article. At that time, Jenny Nicholson tweeted that it was shocking to find out these things about Dobrik because she wasn't in the YouTube space during Dobrik's peak. And yes, Dobrik's peak has already passed. Trisha tweeted that even though she was a part of the Vlog Squad, reading people's experiences with Dobrik made her sick to her stomach. Although, if you were to look at Dobrik's current Social Blade, you would see that he is still averaging $2.7 to $43,000 per month. That means that he's earning anywhere between $59,000 and $944,000 a year. His current net worth sits at 20 to 25 million. As of writing this script, he is currently sitting at a solid 11 million views a month. These numbers showcase an amount of support that seems insane after all of this controversy, and trust me, it gets worse. On March 18th, 2021, the next day, Dobrik's longtime sponsor, SeatGeek, states that they are reviewing their partnership with him. So let's get a little backstory on the partnership before I tell you what exactly SeatGeek said about the allegations. SeatGeek was popularized by David Dobrik and other influencers like Cody Ko. Again, like real past there, you know. SeatGeek gave Dobrik and his friends cars because of the partnership. It was very lucrative on both sides of the scale. At the very beginning of the marketing campaign, a representative of SeatGeek sat down and told a podcaster that they believe reliable audiences for influencers are the best to market to. When it came to ad reads, Dobrik would say the same read in every video sponsored by SeatGeek. If you were to splice all of them together, it would be hard to tell the audio was coming from many different videos, and I will put it in right now.
The SeatGeek is an amazing app that helps you buy tickets in the easiest way possible. You've seen them help me surprise my friends with a brand new car.
Super excited to announce that I'm officially partnering with EA.
Wow, I didn't know it did that.
As you can see, there is a crazy robotic consistency. He said this read so many times that it became an inside joke among fans who started to memorize the read as well because of how many times they heard it. Now, on March 18th, a spokesperson for the company said, quote, "At this time, we are closely monitoring the situation and reviewing internally how we want to proceed. In the weeks to follow, many companies would denounce their partnership with Dobrik." The next day, March 19th. March 19th is a jam-packed day. March 19th, 2021, crazy day for David Dobrik. Dollar Shave Club ends its partnership with Dobrik and will no longer be a sponsor of his podcast Views. The company said, quote, "The actions and comments made by David Dobrik, as well as some of the members of his team, are very serious and do not align with DSC values. Sexual assault and hateful language of any kind is unacceptable in any environment. We've made the decision to end our relationship and cancel all planned activity." The same day, EA Sports, a company that gifted Dobrik a Lamborghini back in 2019, has stated that they are distancing himself from Dobrik and his Vlog Squad. Someone from EA Sports said, quote, "We have worked with David since April 2020 and can confirm that we are no longer working with him, nor do we have any plans to in the future. We expect any influencer or celebrity talent we work with to conduct themselves in a manner that is consistent with EA's values and policies," end quote. Per an insider report, HelloFresh, Dollar Shave Club, obviously, DoorDash, General Mills, HBO Max, Facebook, and Audible also no longer intend to work with Dobrik. The next few days, again, like this whole week for Dobrik is kind of just jam-packed, punch after, like hit after hit after hit, awful. On March 20th, 2021, Dobrik's vlog channel loses over 66 million views in a single day, indicating that he deleted several high-ranking videos. According to data netizens found on the old Social Blade page using the Wayback Machine, 5 videos were deleted in the past 4 months, resulting in his views dropping from $8,269,665,818 total on March 18th to $8,203,005,095 on March 19th. The next day, March 21st, 2021, Vlog Squad member Jeff Wittek posts a video titled My Truth, attempting to distance himself from the insider report. If you remember, Trisha Paytas explained to Insider that David Dobrik had asked her boyfriend, Jason Nash, at the time, to leave the apartment and purchase alcohol for the girls at the apartment since they were underage and could not go purchase it themselves. Well, Paytas explained to Insider that Nash refused, but that other Vlog Squad members, Jeff Wittek and Todd Smith, did actually go out and buy this alcohol for underage, girls. So, back to March 21st, 2021, Jeff Wittek posts a video titled My Truth, attempting to distance himself from the insider report. In the video, he denies buying alcohol for the underage victims and shares the audio of a phone call with an insider reporter, Kat Tenbarge, during which he attempts to clear his name. Wittek claims that Paytas is the only one who remembers him buying the alcohol, but according to the insider report, the victim's friend and designated driver recall Wittek and other Vlog Squad member Todd Smith returning to the party with whiskey. He explained that after Paytas' and Nash's breakup, his loyalty remained with Nash. Basically, he was just trying to say that he could see why Trisha doesn't like him and would want to slander him. At the time, it seemed as if the video brought overwhelming support for Wittek. The comment section was full of people saying how they wanted to boycott the article and suggesting that Wittek sue the reporter. Some other fans were upset at those who were choosing to believe Wittek because there was so much evidence against him. They pointed out the holes in his story and ultimately that his alleged partner in crime, Todd Smith, wasn't even advocating for his own innocence. On that same day, Tenbarge responds with her own recording of the phone call with Wittek. At one point, Wittek doubts Smith was even at the party, but in Dobrik's own footage, he is seen peeking into the room where the threesome is taking place. To directly quote Tenbarge's tweet, quote, Jeff spends his video trying to undermine my credibility by making false statements and playing out of context clips from our conversations. I stand by my reporting, and so does Insider. End quote. She also responds to a thread started by Wittek in which he denies his involvement in supplying the alcohol. Paytas responded first, asking how the alcohol made it to the party, and then stating that Wittek and Smith went out to get it because her boyfriend at the time, Josh Nash, had refused to when Dobrik had asked him first. So then Kat Tenbarge responds, saying that Wittek denied involvement, but beyond advocating for his innocence, he was not very forthcoming when it came to answering questions about that night. On the same day, this is still March 21st, 2021, Ethan Klein and Paytas host an emergency live stream on the Frenemies podcast in which they interview Wittek. Klein says that it seems as though Jeff Wittek is taking the fall for Todd Smith's crime. Trisha ignores that comment and states that it was unfair for Wittek to blame her for the hate when she's always just shared her story. It comes to light that Wittek hadn't even actually read the Insider article.
I didn't want to pay for the paywall on it.
Yeah.
Though Wittek tries to say he and the others, like Dobrik, were not around during the alleged assault, nor were they the ones who supplied the alcohol. A time-stamped photograph from the report shows him, Smith, Dobrik, and the victim being held up by her friend at 1:38 a.m., hours after Wittek claims he had left. Yes, Jeff Wittek was acting like a clown. I can't even explain how insane that is, which I explained the situation, but come on. Maybe you ought to read the article to get your facts straight, even though you were there. All right, finally, we're moving on to the next day, March 22nd, 2021. Early on Monday, Dobrik announced that he would step down from the board of his photo sharing app, Dispo, so as to, quote, not distract the company's growth, end quote. Just hours before, the venture capital firm Spark Capital announced that it would sever all ties with Dispo. In February, the company led the startup's $20 million Series A financing. That same day, Reddit co-founder and leader of venture capital firm 776, Alexis Ohanian, distanced himself and his company from David Dobrik in a statement saying, quote, "The recent allegations against David Dobrik are extremely troubling and are directly at odds with 776's core values." That was a quote that came from Ohanian's personal Instagram story, which I'm going to continue. Quote, "We have been working closely with Dispo over the last week and are in full support of their decision to part with David," end quote. According to the statement, 776 has made a decision to donate any profits from the investment in Dispo to an organization working with survivors of sexual assault. So ultimately, there was something good to happen out of all of this controversy. And on the same day, sponsors Frank's Red Hot, Chipotle, Bumble, and SeatGeek officially announced that they would not be partnering with Dobrik going forward. I mentioned SeatGeek earlier. They were reviewing their partnership with David. They had not cut ties yet, but they finally did after this last little controversy involving Jeff Wittek, which there is more controversy involving Jeff Wittek. He is a very important player in this game. We'll get there later. SeatGeek again funded several of Dobrik's Tesla and car giveaways. If there's one thing that I vividly remember about David Dobrik, which, by the way, when all of this was happening, I was very, very young. Like, I just turned 18 in 2025. I was very young back in 2017 and even 2020. I was like 12. So I was not a David Dobrik fan by any means. The closest that I got to that was watching Escape the Night, in which Liza Koshy was in. And I watched some of Liza Koshy's videos. That was it. Oh, I guess Tana Mojo was also in Escape the Night. Yeah, that's the closest I got to the Vlog Squad. So you can imagine my surprise while I'm looking all this up. But I do remember David Dobrik giving away cars, because that was like the thing that he was known for. For me, at least. That and the Vlog Squad, of course. Okay, a representative of Vlog Squad told TubeFilter, quote, "SeatGeek is not currently working with David Dobrik or the Vlog Squad, nor do we have any future planned campaigns." All right, the next day, March 23rd, 2021, David Dobrik releases a second apology, this time uploaded to his main vlog channel with the comments on. I didn't mention it before, but I think the comments were turned off on the last one, because, yeah. All right, so he's sitting on the floor by himself, and he always cuts right before the tears start to flow. Dobrik decides to address the insider report and several other allegations of sexual assault against Zeglides.
I'm so sorry. I was completely disconnected from the fact that when people were invited to film videos with us, especially videos that relied on shock for views or whatever it was, that I was creating an unfair power dynamic. I did not know this before.
Now, if there is one thing that I see happen all of the time with influencer controversy, is that they all conveniently forget that because they have this platform, there is a severe power imbalance between them and their fans. I can't imagine forgetting that, but they do. It was one of like the reasons that James Charles gave in one of his apology videos, that he just kind of forgot that he had this big power imbalance with his fans and wasn't even really thinking about it. Anyway, just a lot of controversy has come from influencers in general, forgetting that they have power over their audience. And on March 24th, 2021, Dobrik is removed from the lineup of creators No Place for Hate, which was an anti-bullying tour. And I am very glad that a bunch of these companies dropped him from everything, including this anti-bullying tour, because he should have not been on there in the first place, and it took them a while to get him off. But I'm sure they had to find a replacement before announcing anything, so cut them a little bit of slack. On March 25th, 2021, YouTube temporarily suspends David Dobrik and Dom Zeglides from monetization following the rape allegation. This action led many people to speculate how Dobrik was going to make a living, especially since he had just bought a $10 million home. It also got people thinking, why wasn't Dobrik in jail for filming a girl getting SA'd and almost killing his friends in an excavator accident? Which we will get to the excavator accident later. It's a crazy story, but I need to tell you it all at once, because telling it to you in little parts ain't going to work out for this one. Since YouTube basically demonetized them for a period of time, they had to issue a statement. So they issued that statement through a spokesperson, and they told Insider, quote, "We have strict policies that prohibit sexual harassment on YouTube and take allegations of sexual assault very seriously," end quote. Nope, not end quote. "We have temporarily suspended monetization on David Dobrik and Dirty Dom for violating our creator responsibility policy." That is the end quote. This affects all three of Dobrik's channels as well as Zeglides' personal channel, Dirty Dom. Since all of the controversy, people also found an old tweet from 2017 where Dobrik wrote, quote, "If I left everything in the vlogs that I recorded, we'd all be in prison," end quote. The tweet really led people to question, if we know all of this, then what don't we know? On March 26, 2021, Jeff Wittick is still yapping. He's still talking. He apologizes for his original March 21st response in a new video asserting his innocence. After this one Reddit user reflects on how much knowledge Dobrik had and whether or not Dobrik's claims were even true, they say, quote, "I actually think that maybe David lied about a bunch of the sexual things that happened in the vlogs for clout. So he'd film things that were staged and then lied on podcasts or to the fans and said they weren't. Regardless, it doesn't make any of this excusable. I think it's a criminal case and a wake-up call to people obsessed with documenting everything and being ostentatious just for the sake of views or status and money." Now, this random netizen is completely right to say that this case is absolutely criminal. And honestly, I'm surprised that they haven't received any jail time, but there is a kind of running pattern with influencers getting called out for doing illegal things and then not ever getting the law involved at all. We've seen it. I hate to bring up James Charles again, but he still has a platform and he harassed minors. So did Colleen Ballinger. Harassed minors, and there is evidence and witnesses and victims that have all claimed this to be true, and yet not a single one of those people have been arrested for harassing minors. And they continue to find their platform. Recently, what was it, like a couple of months ago, Colleen Ballinger went on a podcast with Raven Simone. Okay. And he basically just kind of pled for her innocence and her whole, like, I'm a better person now arc. Okay. Yeah, fine. Now, on April 22nd, 2021, after months of dodging rumors, Wittek uploads a multi-part documentary titled Do Not Try This at Home, which he explains an incident that he suffered from the year before, which broke parts of his face and skull and required him to have surgery. Now, how did this all happen? Well, for Dobrik's comeback vlog in June 2020, the vlog squad meant wakeboarding on a shallow lake. But before any of this, I highly recommend that you find Don't Try This at Home. You have to it's age restricted. So that was the first thing that I actually had to like age verify using my ID to watch for this video. And it was the only thing. Yeah, that's crazy. But I highly suggest that you watch this docuseries. There are some controversies about the docuseries that come out later because Dobrik had a heavy hand in the editing process, and so there were a lot of stuff that was left out. But even if you only watch the first episode of this docuseries, it is very enlightening, like very enlightening. And before any of this, there are like 4 members of the vlog squad who are preparing to skydive. And, you know, in order to get the stuff that they needed for the video, they had like the verification and stuff. They had to go to they had to jump out of a plane like 20 something times. Insane. And then comes the wakeboarding incident. All right, so they decided that they were going to wakeboard on a shallow lake pulled by an excavator that was operated by David Dobrik. So at one point, Corinna Kopp swings directly from the line, so the wakeboard wasn't attached, and she's just kind of like, the rope is looped, and she's just kind of holding on, and Dobrik's swinging her around. But she kind of like starts slipping, and she yells at Dobrik that she wants to get off, though Dobrik doesn't immediately agree to stop the excavator. And you can hear her in the video yelling at him saying, "You take things too far." Boy, does he. When Wittek tries the wakeboarding, Dobrik swings him even higher and abruptly stops the movement of the excavator, which causes Wittek to crash into the machine and then into the water, except for his foot is still attached to the rope. So he is like dangling from the rope by his foot with his head in the water, bleeding profusely from his eye and just head in general. So in at the very end of this docuseries, well, this first episode of the docuseries, which is all we're going to talk about. The rest of it is also very good, so if you want to go watch it, go watch it. Wittek says in a voiceover, quote, "This is where I made a mistake. I forgot the biggest effing idiot I know was driving it." End quote. So, footage of Dobrik appears in the new documentary, but at that point in time, Dobrik had not yet addressed the Vlog Squad's wakeboarding stunt for concerned fans. And he doesn't for a while until it becomes too big to ignore. But in other Vlog Squad news on May 7th, 2021, in a comment on a Trisha Paytas TikTok, Tana Mojo addresses how Dobrik had repeatedly tried to set up a threesome for her, Jason Nash, and Trisha Paytas. Mojo was 19 at the time and responded that she was staying out of the drama, but is now in therapy.
Comfortable with it.
I think I'm uncomfortable. I think I might actually try and unalive myself if we do this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, yeah. The caption on Trisha Paytas is not the caption. There's text on screen of Trisha Paytas' TikTok that says, quote, "David Dobrik pushing me to do a threesome with my 44-year-old boyfriend at the time and a actual 19-year-old. And then in the caption, it says, quote, "Then I got dumped. I tried to unalive myself. David Dobrik blocked me after I went to the mental hospital and did not even text to ask if I was okay." And then you can see down that Tana Mojo comments, quote, "Tag yourself. I'm the 19-year-old who's now in therapy and trying to stay out of the drama." Which I could do a whole video on Tana Mojo. I could do a whole video on Trisha Paytas. They are some crazy internet personalities out there that I could cover. Just saying. All right, on June 15th, 2021, Dobrik uploads his official comeback vlog titled "Surprising My Friends," as if nothing ever happened. Like, none of the SA allegations, none of the Wittek allegations. Now, Wittek's allegations, well, what happened to Wittek? It wasn't even allegations. Like, this genuinely happened to this dude. That does come up in the video once, but it's a joke. Basically, the entire vlog squad returns with little to no acknowledgement of the controversies that kept the members relevant during the hiatus. And, you know, at that point, they were like, we're just going to continue posting videos every Tuesday. In the vlog, they talk about Krinikop's new OF, and they go as far as to tell her, like, make her tell them that she made $1 million in 48 hours. They basically just, like, question her a bunch on, like, how much she makes. Even Jeff Wittek makes an appearance, and he makes a joke when Dobrik announces that he has a surprise. He basically, what he does is he like picks up the phone. I'll probably put it in, but he picks up the phone and he calls his lawyers to tell them to call off the lawsuit because he has a surprise.
Guys, something.
Hold on a second. Yeah, call off the lawsuit. No, he's doing something. Yeah.
Oh, also, conveniently, Frenemies is no longer uploading on Tuesdays since Paytas quit the podcast. Womp womp. And what is this surprise exactly? A trip to Hawaii, where, you guessed it, they're gonna vlog. So in the vlog, there's footage of one of the vlog squad members stripping naked because a grasshopper landed on him. And then the next clip is the same guy puking out the open car window, causing the squad to have to pull over. Everything in that first clip is blurred, of course. It's just kind of crazy to imagine YouTube allowing something like that. And the second clip remains unedited. So, you know, if you have a fear of puking, maybe don't go watch that video.
When did I stop? Look at this thing.
You scared of grasshoppers.
Dude, that wasn't a grasshopper, bro.
What was it?
That was a leopard or some weird shit.
We're on our way to a waterfall right now. Jonah just ordered probably half of the McDonald's menu.
He's got it. He's got it. Dude, stop. Where do I go?
Go on the motherfucking side of the road. Open the motherfucking car.
Fucking asshole. You motherfucker, I'm gonna throw you in the fucking water. God damn it. I look so stupid right now. What am I wearing?
Oh my god. What did I tell you? Don't have 4 Egg McMuffins before our road trip. And what did you do?
I had 4 Egg McMuffins before the road trip.
The gang is already back to its old antics. And according to an article that I found, that's the only thing that I could find, is that during this Hawaii getaway, one of the members ends up hurt, which isn't really surprising, but like I couldn't find any other evidence that this actually happened except for the one account, and it's not in the vlog. I will say though that I don't have this in here, but there's a lot of injuries that happen, and if I were to talk about all of the injuries that happened in Vlog Squad history, we would be here forever. So, on February 28th, 2021, besides his first appearance, who is noticeably absent from the return to vlogging? Jeff Wittek. After mentioning on a recent Patreon live stream that he hadn't received a text or nothing from Dobrik since his most recent corrective eye surgery, Wittek released an episode of his podcast titled Dear David to get through some of the points about the crane incident.
Because I've been protecting this guy for so long, and there's so much more to the story than just him not texting me for a week after I had such a drastic surgery where I could have been blind.
Wittek also referenced to the documentary he released in the aftermath, Don't Try This at Home.
For David, the fact that he is a scumbag friend, a fake friend, now that the documentary's over, doesn't give a fuck, doesn't text me, doesn't check in.
So basically, through the rest of the podcast episode, he claims that Dobrik did not pay any medical bills as promised, and that he now has an infraction on his credit, not to mention losing his role as a Vlog Squad player. Now, this whole allegation, which is, well, you know, we'll see later down the line if this is like truly, if this is it, because, oh, I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's something that is like ongoing today that maybe will help us say that these are no longer allegations and this is actually what happened. A lot of the stuff, though, there was proof for it. Like the not paying the bills and saying that he was going to pay the bills. But there's also an excuse for it. So, on March 4th, 2022, breaking back into the tech sector, David Dobrik partners with Diplo, Stassi, and other influencers to launch the app Roll, created by Eric and Tara Electra. These people had no clue what they were getting into with Dobrik and Electra. Starting with Dobrik, Diplo had no clue who he was. Diplo thought that Dobrik was just a friend with Dylan Francis.
Let's talk about this. We always talk about Diplo in some way, and you always say, he has no idea who you are. And I always think that too. I'm like,
do you know
Diplo,
who David
do you know
is?
who I am? No, you were...
Well, he came, I met you at the backstage one day, and you were like, I thought you were just Dylan's friend.
And Electra, who also goes by Tara, is also founder of Unruly, an OnlyFans creator management company accused of publishing nudes without consent and creating exploitative contracts. On March 8th, 2022, the Views podcast is once again resurrected. Dobrik stresses how it's been the worst 2 years of his life, which, like, yeah, at that point it had been, 2020, 2021. Yeah, I would say that those years, the pandemic years, were pretty bad for all of us. And at other points, he just kind of laughs at being canceled.
The Jeff thing is the fucking worst because before I even say anything, like that day is like the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Notice how Dobrik said that is the worst thing that ever happened to me. He is not the one who has to go through corrective surgery and could possibly go blind. He wasn't the one that fractured his skull in several places. And sure, the whole accident may have been his fault. However, he dances around that fact, saying that it was all Jeff's idea. In fact, I'll play the clip right now.
If I'm wrong, but I think one of the main reasons Jeff is bummed with me right now is because he saw me do an interview where I said something that I promised him I'd keep between us.
And that quote references that the stunt was all supposedly Wittek's idea. In his retelling of the day of the accident, Wittek sent him a video of a man swinging on an excavator before jumping off. Dobrik says that he didn't see the video until they were at the hospital. Which, okay, then whose idea was it? Did Jeff outright say, hey, we should do this? But you didn't even see the video until the accident already happened. And even so, Wittek wasn't even the first one who was swinging on the excavator. It was Korenikov. And eagle-eyed fans were able to see that David Dobrik had screen recorded this video like very soon after it was sent, because I think he knew, well, the fans, netizens think that he knew that he was going to need this proof later.
And I remember Jeff told me to check my DMs, and it was a video that he found like 15 minutes before the accident that somebody posted, and he said, let's recreate this. And it was a guy swinging from an excavator and flying off. I didn't see that DM till the hospital, and he jokes. He's like, I didn't mean literally, haha, like he joked. That was the first time I saw the DM. That was the first time I opened it. And then he asked, he's like, can you promise me one thing? And I said, what? And he's like, can you just promise that no one ever knows that this was my idea? And I was like, absolutely. Like, that's not a big deal. And then that's the promise I broke recently.
Now, look. Basically, he's saying, oh yeah, I was down to take the responsibility for the accident, but then it started to feel like I was taking too much responsibility, if you catch my drift, and I didn't want all that. So actually, it was all Wittek's idea, and it's all his fault. So, haha. And one last allegation from Dobrik against Wittek was saying that as Wittek was lying there, skull fractured, bleeding from his eye, he made Dobrik promise that no one ever know that this was his idea. I'm sorry, but if this were my potential deathbed and I had gotten absolutely just horrifically injured, my last words to my friend would not be, hey dude, can we just level with me here? Can nobody know what happened? Like, it was my fault. Like, it was my fault. But can nobody know that? Which what? So as for the medical bills, Dobrik claims that he covered $78,000 of surgery.
It's a two-way street. We can be like, when's your next surgery? But also, no one's looping us into what we need to be paying for.
So basically, Dobrik is claiming that Wittek never let them know that these bills needed to be paid. So on March 9th, 2022, Wittek denies most of the claims. He reacts to the Views podcast on his own channel, and he says that he only sent the Instagram video as a joke and strongly denied asking Dobrik to keep a secret for him. He clarified that if anything, he didn't want Dobrik to tell people that he deserved to get hurt like this for doing a dangerous stunt. Responding to the medical bill situation, Wittek claims that Dobrik...
Relax. Insurance isn't coming out of your pocket.
He adds that he had to convince Dobrik to pay for half of the stem cell procedure. Again, a procedure that if it didn't go right and didn't happen, Wittek could go blind. So, Wittek finishes with a legal threat, claiming that he can prove that Dobrik is lying and that they should, quote, let the courts decide. This is Flame. Say hi, Flame. On June 27th, 2022, Wittek officially sues David Dobrik for $10 million, according to a TMZ report. Wittek specifically claims general negligence and general tort, and is claiming wage loss, loss of earning capacity, and racked up hospital bills. And his injuries were extensive. Like I said, a lot of it had to do with his eye, and that they had to reposition a lot of his eye and repair his eye socket. So again, he wouldn't go blind. But there was also extensive injury to his skull, which could impact brain function and things like that. Just so you know, crazy stuff, things that will impair Whittick from maybe doing things down the line in the future. 3 years later. And I can't say this year because it's not this year anymore. I'm recording this on January 1st, 2026. But on January 9th, 2025, almost 1 year ago, Dobrik returned to YouTube for the first time in 2 years, and now he's buff. He released a video titled Surprising Friends with My Body Transformation, and the whole thing was mostly a highlight reel of his travels around the world as a part of his return to vlogging. What was most surprising is that he still had a SeatGeek sponsorship. They decided, it's been a couple of years since all this controversy. Let's sponsor the guy again. What? Also, he's bringing back the Views podcast with Jason Nash, which honestly is saving Jason Nash. If you don't know, there were a lot of videos. I think Danny Gonzalez has a video about Jason Nash begging for literal cents on TikTok Live because he refused to go back to work after the Vlog Squad and David Dobrik's reputation basically crumbled.
Go fucking big guys, bring it home for me! Bring it home! Come on! Give us a win! Ashley! Try not to laugh! Fucking stone hammers! God damn it! God.
But yeah, now David Dobrik is consistently uploading new videos. He's engaged to someone now. And the comments on this video are insane. They're like, oh my gosh, David, I'm so glad you're back. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's kind of like when Shane Dawson was canceled and everybody was like, oh, I don't care. James Charles still has a platform, so I'm gonna, I'm just gonna watch him anyway and support him because I like his content and separate the art from the artist, which when it comes to giving a platform of influence to bad people, we should do everything in our power, even if it's just not watching them, to, not continue to give them that platform. And sure, David Dobrik may never be as popular as he was back in the 2010s. By any margin of that. His style of content is just not what is suitable for the YouTube landscape anymore. But he has a solid fan base, millions of subscribers, and is still making thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars off a platform in which he has previously used to exploit young people and his own friends. So, if he can't ever accept responsibility for serious things, how could we ever expect him to accept responsibility for small things? But I have seen a lot of things lately, and just in my own personal time have done a lot of I would either put videos on in the background or I would be watching them or whatever. And it just seems like a lot of people are very willing to brush off major controversy that would be crime, like supplying alcohol to an underage minor. Or the whole sexual assault thing. There's just a lot of things that Dobrik should be in jail for and is not, which is already an issue. But the fact that there are still people who are presenting their undying support for David Dobrik after we have been shown time and time again since 2017, which by the way, 9 years ago, still showing undying support. So almost a decade worth of controversy doesn't mean anything. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you stick around for more, because there will be more. I promise. All right. Well, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.